Good day. It's Peter Temple with a calendar update as at August the 20th, 2025. Now, I'm going to go through this and tell you where I think we are, but boy, numbers and dates are all over the place, and the primary purpose of this is to show you where we are in terms of events and how that might impact dates. That's what my calendars are always about. It's not me coming up with these dates out of thin air. It's really looking at, okay, what are the events that we're expecting? Where do we seem to be in them? And what are some relevant dates that might play a role? And so that's where I am this time through. So here we are looking at the calendar. This is where we are today. This is August the 20th. And here is not the beginning of August, but we started on the 17th on Sunday on this particular calendar. So we've got 2 weeks of August here, an extra little day down there. And then September starts, September 1 here. And I am expecting EBS to be around September 1. Now, it could be earlier, because I'm seeing signs that's a possibility. But the thing is, Jesus' birthday, which I kind of assume is Christmas, because it is 7/11, and that is September the 11th. You can also call it July the 11th, which we've had. And of course, it could be September on the old calendar, which was portrayed, not real, but portrayed as the 9th month of the year. So that would make it 9/11. So it's a fascinating date. And this is why we've had this 7/11 insignia all over the place for months. So let's go back to what we started out this week with. So we had on Friday last week, on the 15th, that would have been the summit in Alaska between Trump and Putin, which really started the ball rolling. That really was the start of the chain of events that's going to lead to the world really changing and going towards the emergency broadcast system. So that was on the 15th, on the Friday. Then we had on Monday, it was kind of a quiet weekend, then we had the White House Peace Summit, where we had Europe and Zelensky, I think he's got a Y at the end here, but that'll do, Zelensky all coming to the White House on the 18th. And that was, of course, pretty clearly all a script, and most of it really didn't happen. So, I mean, there were visuals, and I didn't put one on today for you, but there were visuals of all of these school children, which were the European leaders, sitting against a wall, and it was obviously an AI graphic, because we had way too many feet sticking out from the chairs with all of these European leaders sitting in a row against the wall. It was crazy. The whole thing was a little crazy, just the environment that they did this thing in, and it was obvious that this is for the consumption of the normies, and there really isn't anything going on. The other thing that's happening this week, of course, is the war is ramping up all over the place. In fact, it's so difficult for me to follow today. I had to sort of stop mid-range to be able to get this out, because I'm trying to do a live chat this evening, and there is so much news. We've got China talking about Taiwan, and we have apparently got the Navy and a lot of ships and things happening off the coast of Taiwan. So that is going on, and that could be considered the Bay of Pigs, because it's interesting that the Bay of Pigs originally was April the 16th to the 20th, and that was in 1961, and I remember that. I was alive at that time. I was 11 years old, and I remember that as being a very stressful time. Well, we've got that happening in Venezuela. This is where we are today, and it seems like it's got the same dates. It's interesting, August and August, where we are now, 18th to 20th, it seems what it is. And they posted this picture today of looking at the coast of Venezuela with all of these ships. Now, there's been reports that there's really nothing there, and I would assume that to be the case, because again, this would have taken place some time ago. So it's all about getting rid of Maduro and he would have been gone. He has been gone a long time ago. So that's what it has to do with. And they're taking over, or let's say they're freeing Venezuela from the prison that the people have been in for such a long time, and that's what's going on there. I think that might end today. They're talking about landings and all kinds of things going on there. I would kind of expect that, because that would end our 3 days of Bay of Pigs, April 16th to 20th, 1961, as you see here. The other thing that's happening while this is going on is oil is getting cut off to Europe by Russia. So that will put Europe up in arms, and without the USA on their side, they have a real problem. So we always knew that this war would be all over the place, and we have a coup apparently going on in Israel today. I'm talking about the 20th, or at least starting, and Israel was always going to be last, so that figures. And we have something going on in Iran, and I don't know, there's things about the embassy not accepting visas and things. I think that was Iran. So there's all kinds of goings on with a lot of these countries in Europe, and I can't go through all of it. I mean, we'd be here for an hour just going through some of the things I've heard today. So keep your eye on that. Tomorrow, the 21st, is 88. Here we go on the Julian calendar, August the 8th. 88 coming from Back to the Future, and we know that's a really important number because it talks about speed, and everything has to hit that speed in order to move to the next stage. And that's on the Julian calendar, the 8th, that's the 21st. So this is an important date. The 22nd is the new moon, which is also the black moon. It happens, I believe, once every 33 months, and it's the second new moon within the same month, I think what the story is there. So that's on Friday, which happens to be the 22nd, which means that it's 1111 here, and that would be August the 22nd. Now we're hearing today that Evergrande, that is the real estate company in China, which is humongous and will affect real estate all over the world, is delisting tomorrow. And the market is already heading down. It started heading down late last week, and so we're in a great big A wave to the downside. It looks like we're doing a second or a B wave today, and I expect much more downside to come. So that is, I've been sort of waiting for that for the longest time because the market's just been going sideways. Now we finally got it. So I can't tell you how important it is that the market is coming down, because that speaks to everything changing. It's got one big wave to the downside to do, as I've explained before, and we have got one more then wave to the upside, the way I see everything, before we get the final top to the market, which I still believe is going to be sometime September, October, before that all comes down. And I would think everything would finish before the market would come down. 23rd, of course, signifies pain, and that came up from somebody today, and that takes us into the weekend. I don't know if we're going to get the Trump tweet and Gassara before this weekend. There's still another week to go, I think, although I'm starting to get information, comms that are saying this might be over on the 27th. I'm not sure yet, which would start the alerts and start the RV, because I think what has to happen is we have to have this war between all of these nations ramp up, and then I think Trump will probably make peace, and that will be the indicator, or we'll get the Statue of Liberty and the other 34 buildings and the dams, and also the bridges. We talked about the San Francisco Bridge. That is supposed to either come down or stop or do something. They've never been clear about what's going to happen to it, but something big is going to happen. We have the Statue of Liberty, which apparently is going to get bombed like some of the other 34 buildings, or taken down. The White House has got fences up around it again, and of course it's heavily fortified. It is supposed to come down, and I heard yesterday that Trump is not going to go back to the White House. They didn't say over what period of time, but that talks about, into the near future, I would think, is that it's going to get bombed. It was always on the list because it's a satanic building based on all of the tunnels that are underneath it. Same thing with the Capitol building, and those two are going to go down. The Capitol building signifies Rome, and the Statue of Liberty is not the Statue of Liberty of like freedom. It's liberty, and apparently liberty, if you're talking about sailors leaving the military in terms of the Navy on a ship, liberty means a short-term stay. And it's not the same thing as freedom. So they call it the Statue of Liberty. So that's very significant to remember. This is the 27th. Oh, the other thing is Z or Z here at the 26th, which represents the letter A. The last letter of the alphabet, not the letter A. It signifies Z or Z, which is the final letter of the alphabet. I think that signifies military, but I didn't pull it in here because we've seen that on tanks in the Ukraine, we've seen it on tanks in the U.S., we've seen it all over the place, and also related to pictures of Trump and Diana. And I think that might signify the military. So does this war continue on through this period? Not sure. I think it probably does. Is this the end of it? Is this the bombings? They were all supposed to be on a Tuesday, so it's certainly possible. Then we have, of course, this 27th. I put on here start of alerts. Again, this is very fluid and things are moving on a regular basis here, so I can't be sure. This I put in the mountains because it is the 14th on the Julian calendar. And if you go look at the mountain graphic, which we've always been kind of aware of, but not sure exactly where to slot it in, there are 14 days registered on this graphic. So you got the 1, 2, and 3 on these 3 top mountains, and then you've got 4 to 13 here, and the 14th is in this heart. Okay, so that could be really significant this month. If you go back to it, there's the Julian 14th. It didn't really happen on the Gregorian 14th, which would have been 13 days earlier. But, and it's not on this calendar, but this is the August the 14th, and that could be the RV, could be the start of alerts. That would say that we kind of go to black in here and the war is over. And then we would have 3 days or 4 days or 5 days to get everybody home. And that might be the 5. They keep talking about 5 hours. I've been thinking about this because they were talking about alerts to get everybody into their homes within 5 hours. I think that's a little unrealistic. So it might be that they're referencing the 5 days that seem to be left here. Again, not sure. It just seems to be, there's a lot more dates coming out today, but they've moved a little bit from the dates that we had before. So it's impossible to say. Would we get the Trump tweet here? I think it's either here with the new moon and the black moon, which is the same thing. And then the Trump tweet could be there. Gassara could happen here. I think it's more likely to happen closer to the beginning of EBS. But there would be 5 days in here, so we'll have to see what comes out. I've got King Charles here because we heard that he was going to go down on the 31st, which is what this is. Now they're, of course, saying that Obama is going to be last because all roads lead to Obama. So King Charles might be earlier, or maybe they're on the same day. I don't know, but we have those two things to still get through. And then I'm looking at EBS probably starting the 1st because there are 10 days here. I haven't changed this. It's been sitting here for the last couple of weeks. And there's a full moon in here on the 7th. I'm also hearing that everything could start after the 26th, the EBS. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 would take us to the 5th. 8.5. There's nothing really significant about that. 23rd would be pain. So I don't know exactly where it's going to start, but this seems to me the most likely from what I've been hearing. And of course, Jesus' birthday is in here. There's a full moon on the 7th. And really, that's as much as I've got to tell you for this round of the calendar. Again, keep in mind that all of these dates seem to be in flux. We're in the war now. I think we're finishing off the Bay of Pigs, and I think we're on to the bigger war now, which is coming out of it. So this is going to be elongated, as this entire project has been over the last 6 years. So we're coming to an end, and, hang on. It isn't that much further. Not sure of the exact dates. This is what I think is the most likely. So don't pin anything on me if it doesn't quite work out this way, because nobody really knows. And I've talked about this before, because the entire plan is in a computer, quantum computer. This is the way they compartmentalize it, so that it only spits out orders for various entities, whether it be the military or civilians or actors, the day or two before, most likely, and nobody else gets that information, so that they don't know what's happening anywhere else, but it is in the computer, and that's the way they keep it from everybody, because there would only be a few people that would have access to it. And we know there are about only a handful, we've been told that many, many times, that would have access to the inner workings of this and know the actual dates. So things are moving along. There's a lot going on. It's very hard to keep up on what is going on out there. So I'll leave that with you, and do your own research. There's lots to research. And this is from Peter Temple. New Earth Rising. New Earth Rising is my channel in Telegram, and I welcome anybody that wants more information on what we're doing. It's getting close.